Wood tunnel portals add a little bit of character, I think, to your layout. Should try to put at least one on to mix in with your stone and concrete tunnel portals. And this one right here is the newest one on my layout. This is the other end of that tunnel, and they're really fairly simple to make. And also, when you buy a kit, the kit doesn't necessarily adapt very well to the portal on your layout. You may have to adapt the portal on your layout to the wooden kit. If you build your own, you can construct it so that it matches exactly the measurements on your layout. So I will show you step by step how to make these tunnel portals, and you will find that it enhances the beauty of your layout. I'm in my at my workbench right now, and this is a sketch I took of my two portals, and I put down the exact measurements of the height I wanted, and the width I wanted, and the portal opening. So, using those measurements, I drew an exact replica using the measurements that I had. And this is for the front portal, and this one is for the back portal. It's a little bigger, and I will delineate on these sheets of paper where the 4x4s are going to go, and then where the planks are going to go. So we can actually use this as a template to cut the correct lengths for the 4x4s. So I've lined in where all of the 4x4s go on each of them, and as you can see, you just build that framework and then behind it glue the planks. But one thing that's important to note is that you must always weather your wood before you glue it. If you glue it first, the weathering will not properly cover the area where the glue is, and you'll have shiny new spots there. So we're going to weather it first. This is Model Master acrylic that I buy at Hobby Lobby. It's intended for thinning acrylic paints, and I have used it for that, but I find that because it's not water, it doesn't warp my wood so much when I use it as the base for my wash. I also have Model Master's olive drab khaki, which is a light olive drab color, and this is something I mix. It's a dirty gray. I think it's just a gray paint with a little black in it or something, and that's what I'm going to use because I have it all in hand and I don't want to run out and buy anything else. So now I'm going to mix it. The acrylic, the jar I have, is about 3/4 full, and since I have a lot of buildings that are old wood, I'm going to mix the whole thing. Again, as you see, it's about 3/4 full. So I'll take my paints. I've already stirred them up and they're running pretty thin. Now, how much did I just put in there? I don't know. But if it isn't enough, I can put more in later. Now we'll mix that. And as you can see, it mixes very well because that's what the acrylic is made to do. It's made to mix. But to keep To add highlights, I've got the olive drab khaki, and I won't put as much of that in. By the way, you can make your own olive drab paints by taking a bright green paint and mixing in a little red. The more red you put in, the browner it will get, until eventually you'll have brown itself, because that's what the three primary colors, blue, yellow, and red, make, is brown. And of course, if you continue adding red to where it's more than the green, you will get nice red brick color. So now we have this, and I'm going to show you the basswood. Here I have the basswood. It comes in 2-foot lengths. I have cut them off into 6-inch lengths. 6 inches and end scale is 80 feet, and I don't think we're ever going to need anything longer than 80 feet. This is 1/32 thick and 3/16 wide. Now 3/16 wide is very wide. That's what, 30 inches. So I'm going to that's 15 inches. So I'm going to cut that in half. I've already cut this one, and so that will make a nicer plank. For the 4x4s, I'm using this 1/16 square. Now, of course, a 1/16 of an inch is 15 inches, so that's bigger than a 4x4, but if you get much smaller than this, you're not even going to be able to see that it's there or what it is. So I don't see anything wrong with using 16th square. If you want to try and use smaller, you're welcome to. Again, these come in 2-foot lengths, and they're about 50 cents a piece. So we're looking right here at $4 worth of basswood. I also found these in an old kit that I was working on for someone else and didn't end up using them, and they will be perfect for the shorter boards that I'm going to need. One thing I want to point out is that the wash that I'm using dries darker than what you see. Let's see if I can demonstrate that for you real quick. I'll get a brush here, and you can see the darkness here. And when I put the by the way, shake this up before you use it. I've already shaken it. Okay. You're going to see that it's just a little lighter and a little grayer. When it dries, the olive drab that we put in there is going to show, and it's going to look better. Now, one of the make sure you do the edges when you're painting them, and also normally I will paint them on one side and lay them down until it's dry, then turn them over and paint the other side. That way we don't lose paint to our blotter here. So what I'm going to do now is paint all of this wood. It should be enough to do both of the portals, and all I'm doing is applying it with a brush, and as I said, paint one side, then when it's dry, turn it over and paint the other side. And when they're all completely dry, and it does take an extra amount of time to dry, I would leave it for at least a couple of hours to make sure it's completely 100% dry. This acrylic doesn't dry as fast as a regular acrylic paint will. It's not supposed to. So that is the one drawback to it. You do have to wait a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all these, and then I'm going to split my planks so that I have this narrower width, and just use a knife and be careful and run it right down the center. So I will work on that, and when I get back we'll start building the structure for our wood tunnel portals. Okay, just a couple of things I wanted to go over that happened off camera. because I'm trying to match these, I decided my color was too light, and I increased the amount of gray paint and olive drab paint. And I also ended up doing a second coat. So it's been a while, but we've had one of the great things about using the acryl is it evaporates so slowly. In other words, this stuff dries so slowly that we don't have any warping whatsoever, especially because we have it on both sides. But I think even if you did one side at a time, you wouldn't get any warping either. So now that we have everything done and everything's nice and dry, we can begin to use our template to cut the pieces we need to make the frame for our tunnel portal. I have the template for the back portal, and I have a sharp knife with a new blade. Now, if the template's going to work at all, you have to have square ends. So I'll use this to make sure my end is nice and square. And I will lay it across here. It's important to have a good light here. But if my measurements are correct, I should now have a piece that fits here exactly. And this may or may not fit somewhere else, as you can see. So we'll keep all the pieces we cut off. Of course, I need 2 more of these, and you can place it here or there. I guess it doesn't make any difference because these should be exactly the same length because the distance from here to here is the same. I made sure everything was square when I did the template. Okay. Alright, and I will continue to cut all of these pieces here. Then the cross pieces, these are all going to be the same length. These are all going to be the same length as this. These are not necessarily the same length. And of course these 4 will be the same length. Then we'll have this piece, and these 2 pieces should be the same length. So once I get all of those cut, we can build our first frame. I have cut all my pieces and laid them out on here in groups so that I know what goes where. One of the things you need to do when you have pieces that are all supposed to be the same length, check and make sure. Put them up against a flat surface like that. Okay, and look at the other end and make sure they're all the same. If they aren't all the same, make them all the same. I've got one sticking out there. Probably can't see this, but I will cut that out so that they're all the same. Okay? And because if they're not all the same, you're going to get a lopsided piece that doesn't fit together, and you'll have gaps to fill and things like that. So make sure they're all the same. But if you don't want to cut off too much, because if you cut off too much, then you'll shorten it, and the thing won't be as high as you wanted it to be. So be careful how much you take off. It just has to be trimming. It can't be big pieces. So then you start. Another thing I've done is I've taken some cellophane tape, clear cellophane tape, and taped it across here. That way when I start gluing them, the glue won't stick to the paper because I want to build it right here on the template. The glue I'm using is Testor's Cement for Metal and Wood. Comes in the green tube. I've used it for all of my wood structures, and I find it works very well. So after that, it's just a matter of gluing. So I'll take my pieces. By the way, notice when you cut all of these pieces, you're going to have new parts of wood without the stain on it, without the wash. don't worry about it. For instance, on this piece, it's going to be covered up anyway. But when you have pieces where it shows, you can take care of that later. And so we will just put them on. And if it sticks down a little bit to the cellophane, don't worry about it. You can pry it up later. Try and keep everything nice and square. This is a set of mini Legos that I've been using for years. It makes great angles inside and out. So I will continue to glue this piece apart. Maybe I'll, oops, not that one, this one. I'll put this one down and glue them in between there too. That probably might be better. So we'll glue each piece in there. I will continue to build the frame exactly as it is here, and I'll get back to you when I have it all glued together. There are no secrets to gluing other than try not to use any more than is absolutely necessary. I have finished gluing. I did the other one too, and so this one's been drying all that time. And it should pop loose because of the cellophane I put down. And it is. I want it to fall off, not rip off. Okay. See, on the front, it looks pretty good. There'll be some shiny sections where the glue is. You can dull that with a little weathering powder. Okay, there's some globs on the back, but nobody's going to see those. But you have to turn it over. So this is the right-hand side over here and the left-hand side. And now we will cut our pieces to size here. Yeah, these are my planks. And we just cut them to go all the way across. The long ones. And for the short ones, I can use those up here. Okay? So we'll just cut all those off and glue them down. If you look at your piece before you put it down, if you've got one side you like better than the other side, put that side down because that's the side that's going to show. Okay? So the next thing we'll do is cut these pieces to fit. The pieces that cut off will fit somewhere else, but all of these pieces will run all the way across. And that will also strengthen your entire portal. So I will glue these pieces down across here and the shorter pieces down here and here. Now as for the pieces that inside that go back, I'm just going to take those pieces with me to when I mount this on the layout. I will take those pieces with me and glue them to this part right here and this 4x4 right here back in and glue them up against the wall at the front of the portal. So I will do that there, and I should have plenty left over. It looks like I've got enough to do all of these portals. And this is the front portal, and here's the one I made. And I'm going to slide it in right there. And it would appear it's a little shorter than I had planned, but it lines up real nicely right here. So the first thing I want to do before I put these up is to get the planks to go back in here just a little ways. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got the pebble rock lining in there, and right here where you see the black, I'm going to have boards going back, and on this side too. So I will get that and cut it and put it in. This is the material that I'm going to use for the boards going up on the inside of the tunnel. I'll just stain it and then cut a piece off like that, and the cross pieces are already there. This piece of material is for sale at hobby stores, and I think this one's left over from a kit it would be the side of a building showing it to be clapboard, but it's going to work out just perfectly. I've cut my pieces, check to see their fit. That looks good. So I use a glue, use any glue that dries clear. Right now I'm using Crafters Pick Ultimate Glue. I want to use a glue that's going to dry clear. Alright. Get that up nice and tight. The reason I'm using the Crafters Pick here instead of regular white glue is Crafters Pick is much stickier, and that way I can get this piece to adhere tightly before it dries so that it dries in place. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back portal on the other end of this tunnel, and then we're going to paint this backdrop area because the planks here don't fit seamlessly, and you'll be able to see through, so we don't want that paint to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the back. You can paint it anything. I think I'm going to use the same undercoat that I use on the ground here. And I will paint the face back here and on the other tunnel portal on the other side. And then we'll use the same glue to affix the portal, and then we'll have ourselves a nice little fit, and it will all look good. Using the same Crafters Pick Ultimate Glue, put some on the back here, and up she goes. Alright. So, the only things left is dressing. I'm going to have some more rock formation up here. Going to put some vines growing up here, kudzu, stuff like that, and dress the ground in front of it, of course. And everything is exactly the same on the back portal. So that's all there is to it. I hope you find this clinic helpful.